Shoot is a game where the objective is to capture the flag and bring it back to your base. You move about using card lengths. On your way, you collect weapons and gadgets. When you die, you respawn at your base and enter the game again on the following turn. You can play Shoot everywhere on a table of any size, even outdoors. Here we see a Shoot map being built out of whatever we had on hand at the time. You place the flag in the center of the map, and the players place his or her base in corner spots and build some cover around it. The decks of cards are placed so that they are accessible to everyone. Remember, they become part of the map, so it's possible to take cover behind these as well. Distribute the gadgets, weapons, and healing tokens evenly across the map. When everybody is happy with the setup, the map is finished. Every player receives a medical record to keep track of the damage received. Now you have to pick a hero. This can be any kind of character, any miniature figure you have. If you don't have any, you can use the ones that are included in the game. So, let's learn how to play. Shoot is pretty easy to play. Shoot is a turn-based game, and the sequence of play is always clockwise. At the beginning of the game, every player starts by drawing a gadget and a weapons card. To determine who starts the game, flip a splatter card and see who the arrow is pointing to.
Let's begin by watching an example of how it might look when we play Shoot. Here are two heroes in a shootout. Badass begins the game. He's got 2 movement points this turn. He goes for some cover. Very clever. What does he see? Oh, very nice. A clean line of sight. He's got an AK-47, which gives him 3 splatter cards to deal damage. Wow, that's a good hit. Right in the crotch. That deals 3 damage points. The next one doesn't hit. No racing stripes are present. And the last one doesn't hit either. Now, Tiny Joe tries to return the attack, but he's unable to hit with this close combat weapon. What does Fat Ass do now? Okay, he wisely moves into full cover. Now it's Tiny Joe's turn. He also draws a splatter card, giving him 2 card lengths to move this turn. What's his plan? Ah, sure, he's going for some healing. Let's see, 3 points of healing. Well, that's enough to heal his wound. Okay, now he has to move the token he just picked up 1 card length in the shown direction. Well, what's up next? Yeah, he wants to get a better weapon. I get it. Wonder what he's got now. So now he's all out of movement and in a very open position, I would say. Ah, he's got a gadget, the Rocket Boots, which adds 1 card length to his normal move. So this is more like it. He can see Fat Ass and attacks him with his new revolver. The first one doesn't work. This one is fine, some damage to the foot. But now, Fat Ass returns fire. Ah, damn, the first one is a no-go. But here we go, this one is a headshot. It blows his head clean off. He's a goner. Tiny Joe is dead, and Fat Ass receives a gadget as a reward. Tiny Joe has to shuffle the deck of splatter cards as a small punishment.
The splatter card is the core engine of the game. It is a multi-purpose card where you search for the specific information you need at the time. In the background, you see the part of your opponent that is being targeted. The amount of damage dealt is shown in the top left-hand corner. The amount of movement available this turn is shown in the lower left-hand corner. The arrow is for moving tokens and other things. It determines the direction and the distance as shown by the number directly left of the direction marker. When you receive healing, you use the number in the lower right-hand corner. Lastly, we have the answer to a question you might have, either yes or no. Movement. When playing Shoot, you move your hero by using the card's lengths. If you decide to move, you draw a splatter card at the beginning of your turn to see the maximum amount of movement available to you. In this case, our hero can move 1 card length this turn. Hold the card in front of your hero. Then move your hero to the front of the card. He has now moved 1 card length. When your turn is done, discard the card. If you've got more card lengths available, like here, you decide how to divide the movement. As an example, you may start by moving, then pausing to shoot or play a gadget and then move again. Of course, you may also begin by shooting or playing a gadget and then moving afterwards. Before the game starts, agree upon whether using the width or length of the splatter cards for movement depending on the size of your map. Climbing. When climbing objects, you roughly measure how tall the object is in comparison to your hero. You cannot climb objects that are taller than your own hero. You'll need a gadget of some kind to do so. If you want to climb something higher than half your hero's height, you will have to use 1 card length to climb that object. If an object is lower than half your hero's height, there are no penalties and you may move along as normal. When you reach a token, you may draw the matching type of card. In this instance, the hero collects a new weapon. The old weapon must be discarded. You do not get to choose between the old and the new weapon. Unlike the weapons, there is no limit as to how many gadgets you may collect. If you get one of the special pop-ups, recognized by the yellow arrow in the top left-hand corner, it must be placed on the map where you picked up the token. The token you just picked up has to be moved. Draw a splatter card in a sloppy fashion like this. Now, look at the arrow to establish the direction the token has to be moved. Move the token the distance as shown next to the arrow. In this case, 2 card lengths. Likewise, in this scenario, you move the token 1 card length in the shown direction. However, this brings the token outside of the map boundaries. But if this happens, we use the rule of approach angle and the matching angle of reflection. Often, tokens will be placed on top of objects as shown here. There are 3 basic types of weapons: close combat, short distance, long distance. Here we see close combat and long distance. The upper number inside the crosshair shows the distance in which the weapon works. The white number underneath shows the amount of splatter cards to be dealt to your opponent. The knife, for example, only works if you are standing next to your opponent where it deals 2 splatter cards worth of damage. Short distance are weapons that work if you are within 1 card length of your opponent. Of course, these also work if you are in close combat just next to your opponent. Long distance, as shown here, works at any distance, no matter how far away your opponent is. A few weapons have special abilities. For example, the laser gun can shoot through transparent materials. Most of the weapons have 2 sets of effects at different distances, like the ones we see here. Lastly, we have the special pop-up weapon. This one pops up on the map where you drew it. You don't get to collect this weapon, as it has to be placed on the map where it stays throughout the game. All other weapons don't have to be revealed before you want to use them. It's a good idea to keep them secret. Attacking while standing still. The piggy wants to shoot at the red man. He's got a revolver, which gives him 3 shots with the splatter cards as he's within 1 card length. So, Piggy draws 3 splatter cards, 1 at a time. The first deals 3 damage, the next deals 4 damage, and in addition, it is no longer possible to shoot with this hand anymore. Finally, the last splatter card deals 1 damage. Even though it's still Piggy's turn, the red man may counterattack at once. He's got a Luger, which gives him 3 shots no matter how far away he is. The red man shoots, dealing 4 damage, then 2, and finally 3. If Piggy had been farther away than 1 card length, his attack would only have consisted of 2 shots. If Piggy had a close combat weapon, for instance the chainsaw, he would have had to touch the opponent in order to make an attack. Attacking while moving. It's harder to hit when shooting on the move, or if you make a counterattack against someone who is moving. The pig wants to get closer. At the beginning of his turn, he draws a splatter card, which gives him 1 card length of movement this turn. He's got his revolver, which gives him 3 shots because he's now within 1 card length. So he shoots. In order to hit on the move, racing stripes have to be present on the splatter card if you are to move and shoot on the same turn. This first card is a hit. Look, no racing stripes, so this one doesn't work, even though Piggy can clearly see this part of the red man. The last card is also a hit, as the racing stripes are present. The red man immediately makes a countermove, using his Luger. Remember, he is attacking someone who is in movement, so the first card doesn't hit. The next one is good, racing stripes. That's a hit. The last one doesn't hit either. At the beginning of your turn, you have to decide whether you want to move or not. If you choose to move, you draw a splatter card. As soon as you draw this splatter card, you are in movement. Also, if you decide not to move anyway. Of course, it's even harder to hit someone once there is cover involved. Here, Piggy has found an Uzi, and the red man is further away than 1 card length, giving Piggy 2 shots with the splatter cards. As Piggy shoots, I'm using line of sight, bringing my vision in line with Piggy's. This shows me that the first shot hits the wooden block rather than his shin bone. But the next card is a hit. I can see the particular part of the red man shown on the splatter card. Here is another typical type of cover, but again, I hit the cover and not my opponent. The second shot, however, hits a part of the red man that I can actually see. That's a hit. If red man had been facing away from Piggy, he would still be able to shoot back. He can turn around his own axis, not that you would actually turn the character, but to clarify, you're able to turn around and make your counterattack. This only applies if you can restrict yourself to turning around your axis and not lean out from behind cover. In this case, Piggy shoots at a body part exposed from the cover. The red man is not able to shoot back because of the missing line of sight. Now, Piggy has got hold of an AK-47. He has to settle for drawing 3 splatter cards in his attack due to the fact that he's not in close contact touching the red man. The first card hits him, but the next card is a jam card. This means that the weapon might jam, so let's take a look at the jam function. If there is a yellow box present on the weapon in use, as we see here, the weapon jams. In addition to the jam, it says in this case that Piggy is pushed 1 card length backwards. When a weapon goes into a yellow jam, the rest of the attack is lost. This prevents Piggy from dealing the last splatter card's damage in this attack. If he drew a red jam card instead, and the weapon has a red box, as in this case, the rest of the attack would also be lost, and additionally the weapon would fall apart and be discarded. If he had a different weapon, like this one, without a red box, the weapon would be unaffected by the jam. However, the jam card would still count as an attack card and the attack continues. Certain weapons will cause damage to the hero who is using it in addition to the normal effects. Here, Piggy will receive the damage of 3 splatter cards in addition to the weapon being completely destroyed and discarded. With this type of damage, all splatter cards may be used, both the ones with racing stripes and the ones without, no matter if you are in movement or not. During your own turn, you can play most of the gadgets you've got. Most of the gadgets will work the instant you play them and will then be discarded. A few gadgets you keep for as long as you are alive. These are equipable items that the hero can activate when the need arrives. Hence, you don't have to reveal your helmet, for instance, before you are hit in the head and therefore have use for it. A few gadgets have to be placed on the map when you want to use them. These then remain there throughout the game. Be aware of pop-ups. They appear on the map the instant you pick them up and have to be played where you picked them up. These 3 gadgets are defense gadgets and can only be played when you are under attack. These work, like most of the other gadgets, only one time. Finally, we have a couple of gadgets related to certain death, either when your hero dies or when he chooses to. Damages and explosions. Some gadgets may deal damage. In these cases, you don't have to consider whether or not you are in movement or not. All splatter cards hit. A few gadgets will cause explosion damage. In such an instance, all splatter cards may be used as well. All heroes within 1 card length radius will take damage. If multiple heroes are within the blast zone, the damage is dealt to 1 hero at a time. A hero dies when 10 damage points have been received. Here, I've already got 6 points worth of damage. When I have received 10 damage points, I die. If I'm dealt 4 more damage, I die and discard all my received splatter cards. I lay my hero down on the map and place all the gadgets and weapons I might still have underneath my dead hero, as well as the flag if it was in my possession. All items remain until the beginning of my next turn. Until then, other heroes loot my body for items. As a small punishment, I have to shuffle the deck of splatter cards. But I'm no good at this, so I get some help here. When it's my turn again, I re-enter the game, spawning on my base with a new gadget and a new weapon. The old weapon and gadgets currently lying on the map are discarded, and if I had the flag, it is placed back at its original position. You also die if you fall off of the map. In this case, you place your dead hero and all the items at the edge of the map where you fell. My medical record keeps track of the received damage. Here, I've received a total of 6 damage. I can get healing by touching a healing token. I draw a splatter card and look at the lower right-hand corner to see the amount of healing receivable. In this case, 3 points of healing. I now have to remove 3 damage from my medical record. I can choose between the card worth 3 damage points and the other 2 cards with a combined value of 3. In this case, I choose to remove the 2 cards. As always, the token has to be relocated after use. Don't be overly specific, it just has to be done. The last thing we have to address regarding splatter cards is if there is any doubt about the outcome of an action. In this example, I would like to collect the gadget token. Let's assume that I got 1 card length of movement left. If that's the case, it's no problem. But what if it was placed just a little farther away? As card lengths are not a precise way of measuring, some doubt could arise as to whether this token is just within reach or not. If you are a very persistent player, and if the other players say it's okay, you may ask the cards a very clear yes/no question. For example, can I reach this token? Then draw a splatter card to get an answer. This rule must not be abused. However, doubt can arise throughout the duration of a game, typically 1 or 2 times.